There is a place, not here or there, but somewhere in between. There is a space in the thin air that really can't be seen. If you listen and observe, you may be surprised. Some may call it Camelot or even paradise. Some may say you cross a bridge, others through a door. But all I know about this place is that I call it Evermore. Evermore.
Good evening, sweet spirits. Welcome to the show. My name is Suzanne Sorrell, and I'm the host of the Evermore Paranormal Network. On this episode, I'm going to talk to you about some of my extreme paranormal experiences. So let's get started. I would say the first thing we need to do is we need to define what I consider an extreme paranormal experience. So I tried to come up with a definition. And I would say that an extreme paranormal experience is one that is violent and/or dangerous in nature, that occurs to property, objects, and/or people, that demonstrates that a spirit has power and/or strength. And the incidents I'm speaking of tonight happened to me and/or I witnessed them firsthand. So the first type of experience that I want to talk about are poltergeist incidents. I've experienced two in my lifetime that I would classify as poltergeists. A poltergeist is defined as, well, in German, it means noisy ghost, as simple as that. But it's spirits that are responsible for loud noises and objects being thrown around. There you go. That sounds scary enough. But I'm going to tell you about the two incidents that happened to me that I would classify as poltergeist incidents. The first one occurred when I was in high school. I guess I was about 14, 15 years old. Now, if you've been watching the show, you know I've talked about my mom's boyfriend that passed away in our apartment at that time and supposedly committed suicide. And I didn't know that until recently, which may explain why this activity occurred. But anyway, when he passed away, I saw his ghost in my room. And as a result, I would not sleep in my bedroom anymore throughout high school. We lived in the apartment from 14 to like 18. After I saw the ghost and Roy died in the apartment and I saw his ghost, for the next 4 years, I slept in my mom's room because I was afraid to go in my room to sleep at night. However, I would still, go in that room during the day, my bedroom, to study, to play my music, to play with dolls, whatever I wanted to do. One day, I came home from school. I would say it was 9th grade, and or the summer before 9th grade. And when I came home from school, my room was torn up. It was as if a cyclone hit it, a tornado, whatever. It hit my room. Everything was thrown all over the room. But it was weird because some stuff was a mess and other stuff was neatly sitting there. And I thought, this is strange. So the first thing I did was call my mom. Back in the day, I was a latchkey kid, which meant my mom was raising me by herself, so I would usually get myself off to school in the morning and come home to an empty house in the evening. So I called my mom, freaking out, thinking somebody broke into our apartment. And I told my mom, hey, Mom, explained to her what I just told you. And she said, well, is anything missing? I said, no. So nobody stole anything. She says, were the doors locked? Are there broken windows? No. She goes, well, check the window in your room. Maybe you left it open and it was windy and it blew all the stuff in your room. I checked. The window was shut and locked. So Mom just like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Clean it up before I get home. And so that was the end of that. But guess what? This happened several more times over the summer or that few-month period. It happened several times over a few months, and then it stopped. However, and of course, by the way, I never told my mom again that this happened because you see the reaction I got. And at the time, I didn't know what a poltergeist was. Wasn't into this field at that time. Now, also, but the problem was this didn't end at home. When I went to school, when I used to have lunch, this was like 9th grade, I'd have lunch and then I'd have PE right after, or the gym, physical education. So I'd go straight over there to the locker room to change, and I would usually be there, nobody be there but me. I started noticing that a light was going off and on in a room. It was where they kept the towels and supplies and stuff. And I'd see a light going on out of the corner of my eye, and when I'd look at it, it would turn off, and then it would turn on, and then it would turn off. It was a door, it was a room that had a half wooden door, and then the upper half was like a gate. So you couldn't get in there, it was locked shut. Of course I'd go over there and try to explain it, what's going on? Somebody's in there flicking the light off, playing around with me, messing with me. And nobody was ever there. So then I started noticing, pretty obvious, locker doors started slamming on their own. I witnessed it. My own and others that were left open, they would just slam shut. I saw it with my own eyes, and I started hearing them on other aisles, so I ran over and investigated. And again, all I can say is for that period of time, I think I was experiencing this poltergeist activity at home and at school, but luckily it stopped. Now the second incident occurred just a few years ago. We were at Haunted Dream Meadows in Bealton, Virginia, and a friend of mine wanted us to come investigate. And me, the owner of the property is a woman, 2 other female team members, and my husband, who was filming as usual. So we're in the basement and there's no way out. Now we had a scary incident earlier in the night, so we were already kind of hyper sensitive to what was going on. But this was about 10 o'clock at night, and we're in the rec room of this lady's house. All of a sudden, and by the way, at that time, she hadn't moved on the property. The property had been vacant for a few years prior. It was a 28-acre farm with a house in the middle, and we were alone and nobody knew we were there except the owner. It was very isolated incident. So we're down in the basement, and all of a sudden we hear somebody open the door upstairs, walk down the hallway as if it sounded like walking with boots. They came down the stairs and they went into a room at the bottom of the stairs. We started hearing stuff flying around as if a cyclone had gone into this room and was tearing it up. And we all stood at the other end of the rec room scared to death. We weren't thinking ghosts, even though that's what we were there to do. We were thinking somebody had broken into our property, since they would think that it was vacant, and they were in there, and we were going to be hurt by whoever broke into the place. Well, since my husband was the only guy, and us 4 girls, we hid behind my husband as we walked toward this noise, because the only way out, we had to face it, and the only way out was to go toward where the noise was occurring. So we all got behind my husband. We kept the camera rolling, and I do have that footage, and I hope to add it to the show if I can find it. We get to the door. As we put our hand on the door where all the noise and ruckus is going on, the noise completely stopped. We all went, what is going on? We opened the door. Nothing is disturbed. No one is in there. And we all were left like scratching our head, like what just happened? The The only thing I could think of is it was poltergeist activity. So we're going to go investigate that again soon and see if we can catch some more footage for this, because I have a feeling that it probably happens regularly. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
My journey skating for the gold taught me a lot, but my journey with breast cancer has been one of my greatest teachers.
Every woman's breast cancer is unique. Be Wiser educates and empowers women to take control of their breast cancer treatment plan and help navigate their own path beyond 5 years.
Talk to your doctor about information and tests to personalize a treatment plan that fits your needs. I did. Be informed, be wiser, support survivors like us.
Welcome back. So you think the first segment was crazy, talking about poltergeists. Well, now I'm going to talk to you about levitation. Yes, levitation. I have had 2 experiences that I'm going to talk about now. Now, levitation is defined as the action of rising or causing something to hover in the air. Okay, I never thought this would happen to me, but it did one night, and it was terrifying. This was a few years ago. I really can't tell you exactly, maybe 5 years ago or so, around that time. One night I was sleeping in our master bedroom on my back, and my husband was down the hall because at the time he was snoring really loudly, so he went down the hall to sleep that night. So I'm sleeping, okay? And I'm on my back, like I said. Next thing you know, I wake up and I am hovering. I'm off the bed, on my back, rising toward the chandelier in the ceiling. And so I'm like on my back, kicking and screaming because I am awake. Now I'm awake, and I am several feet above the bed, on my back, floating toward the ceiling. And all I could see was the center part of and I did have a light on in the hallway, so I could see the chandelier, but I was focused on the middle of the chandelier because my heart was going right where I would be impaled by the center of the chandelier. So I was terrified that once I got to the chandelier, I was going to die because I was going to go through the chandelier. So I'm kicking and screaming, wide awake at this point, and all of a sudden I'm like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Please, God, please. As soon as I asked God to help me, I plopped. I mean, I'm saying plop, like landed on my back on the bed very loudly. Whatever had a grip on me that was making me levitate, let go. And I laid there. I mean, the wind was knocked out of me. Of course, as soon as I got my composure, I ran down the hall to wake my husband up. And, you know, we've been together almost 36 years. He's heard it all. And this was nothing. He's probably nothing to him. But, you know, I told him what had happened. And all I know is that in that incident, I knew that I always have God to protect me. And so he saved me many times before, and thank goodness that I was able to yell out for him and help. The next incident happened when my husband and I went to Farnsworth House Inn in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And we had just started going out to places. So this was probably maybe 2011, actually. It was the first or second time that we ever went out anywhere. And we stayed in the Sarah Black room. And it was wintertime, very cold, like January, February. And for some reason, I did not feel, this is one of the most haunted inns in America. My husband, who's a skeptic, he wasn't afraid at all. So he rolls over and goes to sleep. Well, I'm afraid, so I have the light on. And I'm laying in bed like this. Yeah, I'm a ghost hunter. You know, I was new. And I still have those moments, by the way, when you are so terrified. But I couldn't put my finger on why I was terrified. Yeah, I'm in the most haunted inn in America. I was waiting on something to happen, but nothing was happening. I couldn't tell. I couldn't figure out, why am I so scared? I told my husband, I said, I don't want to sleep in here tonight. I'm going to go out to the truck and sleep. Well, it was below 0 and it was extremely cold. My husband's like, no, you're not going to go out. You'll freeze to death. It's better if you stay in here, even if you're afraid, to stay in here. So anyway, I'm laying there. He goes back to sleep. I'm taking a bunch of pictures. And just because I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to get an orb. Oh, I'm going to get a ghost. It's just going to show up. Something's going to show up. Well, I took a ton of pictures and nothing showed up. But I knew that something was going on in the room and I really still didn't know what it was. Well, I got through that night terrified. And I've actually been back to that room a couple times since. I don't know why. I like to punish myself, I guess. But all those pictures that I took, I knew something was there. So about a month, when I got back, I uploaded the pictures and I still didn't see anything. A month later, I pulled them out again, didn't see anything. Another month, I'm still going, I know something was going on. About 4 months after we stayed in the room that night, I'm looking at the pictures and bam, I finally see what I knew was going on. I see a toy, a cast iron toy that they have in the room. It's a boy on there. There's a horse and it's on wheels and there's a boy on the horse. This is a cast iron toy and it sits in the windowsill in the room. Well, in the picture, the cast iron toy is 2 feet above the windowsill, peeping out of the side of the curtain. And I thought, oh my God, this is just not possible. That toy was a cast iron toy. How is it 2 feet above the windowsill? And it wouldn't be peeping out from the side of the curtain. So, being the ghost hunter I am, the next time I went to Gettysburg, I asked to go in the room to investigate. I went in there. We took tons and tons of pictures, trying to recreate what I had in that picture that I saw, that I had taken. There is no way that we could recreate that. I actually have a picture which I will put in the show so you can see the toy and see the fact that there's no way that could be recreated, of the toy 2 feet above the windowsill sticking out from the side of the curtain. Therefore, something very powerful, probably one of I think there's 13 ghosts at that location. One of the spirits was messing with me. And I knew something was wrong. I knew something was going on. They were probably laughing at me the whole time, but it took me months to figure it out, but I did. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Losing weight's a lot harder than gaining it, but with every step, I lower my risk for type 2 diabetes and heart disease, and that makes every step very much worth the effort.
Learn how you can help stop diabetes. Visit checkupamerica.org or call 1-800-DIABETES.
So welcome back. So we talked about poltergeists, we talked about levitation, and now I'm going to talk to you about being jumped by a spirit. So what does being jumped mean? Well, it's when a spirit either enters you or goes through you. On these two incidents that I'm going to talk about, I know they went through me. I hope they didn't stay. I don't think they did. But anyway, the first story is when I was in my SUV. And I had been up to, this was a few years ago. I can't even tell you when, maybe 5 years ago. 5 years, yeah, 5 years or less. And I had been up to the community center. Now, we were doing events at the community center, paranormal ghost hunts, etc., research, from 2012 on. So it happened after that, probably around 2012. So I had gone up to the community center to pay a bill, to check something. I didn't go up there to ghost hunt. I just went up to handle something administratively. This was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, I'm driving home from the community center, which is just maybe 3-4 miles away from my house. As I turned on the street just before my house. I was going down the main road. I made a right onto a certain road and then another right. I'm literally one turn away from my house. I can see my house, and I'm maybe 50 yards away from my house, when all of a sudden I'm getting ready to make that left onto my street, when all of a sudden something hit me like a stampede, like I was, but it hit me. This is what's weird. It hit me from my right side. It came in through my arm. It came in here, went through my body, and here I'm going to mess my hair up now. My hair stood out, straight out for, who knows, it was long enough for me to go. It stayed up in midair. It stayed up in midair as I looked at it. I was hit, the wind was knocked out of me. It was crazy, and it was weird to be hit from the side. It was as if somebody was running, they were running through my car, and I just happened to hit the exact time when somebody came running through me, hit me, and felt it in my heart, in my chest, the pressure, the pain, and then it went out my hair. It went out this side of me, my arm, my hair. Okay, so I'm going, what just happened? I've thought about this for years. What happened? And I just realized that there's no other explanation. It wasn't like, it could have been a lightning bolt, but it was a nice sunny day. It could have been like, some kind of electrical shock, but I mean, it didn't to the point of it, killing me or sending me to the hospital. I didn't have any like physical burns or anything like that. So, it happened. I kind of was stunned there going, what just happened? I can't wait to tell my husband when I get home. He hears all these stories when they happen. And anyway, I turned and went home, and that was it. Wow. So that was the first time. Now remember, I was only about 50 yards from my house. The second incident happened just maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I was in my house. That day, I got up early to see my husband off to work. And it was still dark, and he was leaving. He said goodbye, and the garage door shut. He drove off. I went to the kitchen. Within seconds, I hear the doorbell ring. And I went, oh, my honey, he must have forgotten something. He's back. I ran to the front door. I looked out. No car. He's not there. Something rang the doorbell right after he left. My heart dropped, because I'm not thinking ghosts. That's not the first thing I think when these things happen. I usually think of the logical explanation, and I thought, oh, my husband just left. Someone is out there looking in, and I was scared. I thought somebody was going to break into my house and hurt me. So I called my husband. I said, honey, you didn't come, did you come back? And the doorbell rang. He's like, hold on to the phone. Be ready to call the police if somebody comes in. Da, 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 da. So I go into the kitchen. Once I calmed down, I go into the kitchen, and I said, go back to what I was going to do, was get something to eat. And I turned to look at the TV, which is with my back facing the kitchen. I mean, my back is at the kitchen. I'm looking toward the TV, when all of a sudden something hit me, came through from the dining room direction, through a wall, into my back, and out the front of me. My hair didn't stand up this time, but it came directly through my back, out the front of me, toward where I was looking at the TV. And it was like being hit by, like if I was on a football field and somebody came up and just knocked the wind out of me. I'm surprised it didn't pick me up. It just knocked me. I don't remember, I might have moved maybe a foot as it knocked me, but it got really cold, and the whole incident was terrifying because I was already afraid from the doorbell ringing. Obviously, now that I look back, I realized that the night before, I had brought in a container of haunted objects because I was writing a book and I wanted to look at them closer, describe them, that kind of thing. I had set that box of haunted objects in the dining room. So putting two and two together, I have a feeling that something in that container some attachment to an object had come through the wall and went through me. Well, of course, that day I took that container back out to the garage. Nothing else has happened, so that's why I kind of think it had something to do with that. So after you're hearing all these stories tonight, I hope you realize that ghost hunting, paranormal activity can be harmful and cause damage. So be careful. And with that said, thank you for watching the Evermore Paranormal Network. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. And until next time, peace out.
So in the end,